Hello, I'm Rick Lewis with Phenom Hoop Report. On today's segment of Coach's Corner, I have Brian Frasier of Vance High School. Welcome, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me, Coach. Thank you.
Coach, let's go back and revisit your high school playing days a little bit. You were born and raised in Martinsville, Virginia, and you played for Martinsville High School, and you were fortunate enough to play collegiately at Catawba. Talk about your experience as a high school player and the opportunity to play at the collegiate level at Catawba, which is a Division II school.
I think high school and college was a great opportunity. In high school, I played the point, and I played for what considered now is like an old school coach. Your point guard didn't lead the team in scoring, and so he kind of challenged me to be a facilitator, to motivate, to encourage, to run the team. Now, I still led the team in scoring, but he put those things first in regards to being a team player. And so I appreciate that. And so when I got to college, they moved me from point to two. I played a little bit of point, a little bit of two. And that was a little challenging. It was a little challenging for taking the ball out of my hands, at times. And so I coach like that. I kind of try to teach the guys how when you have the ball to facilitate, to know how to win. And I also try to get them to understand that you may not be playing with the ball in your hands the whole entire time. And you got to learn to, facilitate and kind of work as a team versus just trying to put the ball up every time that you touch the ball.
Coach, people don't understand when you play for Catawba, and Catawba is one of the better D2 schools in the area. Talk about how difficult and how competitive it is at the Division II level.
It's a lot of kids that think D1 is the only option.
D1 or bust.
And I know everybody wants to play major college basketball, but reality comes in at some point in time, and it did for me. And Catawba took a chance on me, gave me a shot to play college ball there. And when I got there, I got to recognize that I want just the best player on the team. It's some really good ball players, and we had guys from all over. From my coach did a lot of overseas recruiting, so I had guys from Spain, Lithuania, Iceland, and those guys were good. They had been playing some professional basketball over in their area, and so kids get this perspective that in Division I, it's only tall guys in Division I, and the talent level is very low. But on my team, you're talking about 7 foot, 6'8", 6'6", on the wing, 6'2" point guards. And I mean, it's a challenge every night, you know what I mean? And I think that once if kids get past just going to a Duke game and go see a Catawba game, they'll see that it's a challenging game on that level as well.
Well, in 2006, you graduated from Catawba, and you were fortunate enough. You got right into coaching right out of the bat. You got to be an assistant coach at Vance High School.
Absolutely. So it's kind of crazy. It kind of just really fell in my lap. When I was a kid, my mom noticed that I was mentoring kids in the neighborhood and kind of like trying to teach them what I had learned. Wasn't no trainers going on. So I was just trying to pay what I learned so far and pay it forward. And so my mom, when I was going to school, she said, I want you to get an education and I want you to become a teacher.
Wow.
And, sometimes you go against what your parents want, and I did. And so I graduated and I moved to Charlotte, and I moved directly across from Vance. And at the time when I first moved there, the trainer at Vance, the athletic trainer, went to school with me. And she said, why don't you go over to the school and, talk to the coach and play with the guys a little bit. And so I did. I met Coach Will Robinson, and he's from Virginia. I'm from Virginia, and he kind of knew my school background, and I had won 2 state championships in high school, and they were headed for a state run, and he kind of gave me a shot. So it kind of was a blessing that it just kind of worked out for me.
Divine intervention.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Coach.
Now, you coached as an assistant coach at Vance under Will Robinson, and Will Robinson had a great reputation, but the one thing his teams were, They were going to be very disciplined. They were going to execute. Um, you know, when you watched their team play, you knew when they came in that half court set, they were going to run something and they were going to run it to perfection.
Absolutely. I think that part I haven't mastered yet. I haven't got to his mastery in regards to executing in the half court. I think that's the growth area we need to get to in order if we want to be successful and win a state championship. But I learned a lot from him, and he let me have my hands in on everything. You know, at first I started off with just skill development with the guards, and I kind of did like player relations with the guys. Like I kind of built bridge between Coach Rob and them, and kind of figuring out what he wants and what they want at the same time. I scouted, I did game plan, and so those things kind of, I kind of got my hands in on all of those things, so as a coach, Coach Rob kind of taught me a lot to kind of get started into coaching, especially when I'm coming out fresh out of college and trying to get this whole thing from playing to now being a coach type deal.
Well, that's a pretty remarkable story because when you got out of college, you really didn't know what you was going to do. You didn't know whether you was going to get into coaching. You just had somebody that was a friend of yours say, hey, why don't you go over there and apply for a job as assistant coach? And he was assistant coach at Vance for the 6 years. And I guess Will Robinson, he just basically just stepped away from the game.
And Coach, I'm from an old school program in Virginia where coaches kind of stick around for a long time and kind of, the head coach end up retiring and an assistant coach end up taking over. And that's what I'm cut from, and that's what I wanted to kind of help with Coach Rob here. When he started, I said, well, if he eventually steps down, then, I'll take on and I'll be able to tell the story of these guys that played, in this era. I'll be able to tell a story of how good they were, that type of deal. There's so many kids that go back to their old schools and there's nobody there to tell about what kind of player they were when they were at that school. And so I'm holding on to that.
What lesson did you learn the most 6 years as assistant coach under Coach Robinson that helped pave the way for you who you are today?
Discipline and execution, being disciplined every day, come in with a game plan, come in with a practice plan, and execute that thing daily and be disciplined, always have structure. And again, just building relationships, all of those little things that he kind of showed me and instilled in me. And again, allowing me to have my hands in on everything. And so it helped out. I don't think anything in particular can prepare you for that seat of being a head coach. I'll never forget Coach Rob. We were sitting on the bench and he said, Coach, this thing's going to change when you slide down a seat. And he was right, because now all the decisions that from assistant coach of giving all these ideas and all this, it's going to change. Now you got to make the final decision in regards to what's going to benefit the team and the program, and not just on the court, but just off the court type stuff.
Now, your first year as official as the head coach was 2015. Now, y'all didn't have a winning record that year. So what was your mindset? I mean, I'm sure anytime you're a head coach, you want to come out of the gate really, really strong. But in your situation, y'all didn't have a winning season. So what was the psyche that you had at that point in time?
When he retired, it was kind of surprising. And so it was kind of like a sense of urgency to get started.
Right.
And I kind of got humbled. If every coach should start off saying, we're gonna do this, we're gonna win this, and we're gonna do that. And then you get humbled down when you start playing some more talented teams, and it lets you know, like, you got some work to do. And so it's been the whole forefront to, like, since that first season, to kind of build build in increments. We were a very small team, But one thing I could say for that team, they would play hard for me. They would give me all they got. And so I wanted to keep that going forward, but continue to get more talented guys.
Now, your third year at Vance, you got it rolling. You finished 21-7 that year. So you got things started, and I'm sure that your confidence started to build at that point in time. And you said the things that you learned from Coach Rob was discipline and execution. What are some other things that you learned about yourself during that time frame?
That you can't, one thing I learned for sure, you can't coach the same team. You can't coach team the same each year. You have to and you can't coach each player the same. So that was one of major lessons that I learned going forward, is that, despite that I want to play this way, this team may not fit this
right.
this type of offense or defense that I'm doing, and you got to kind of make adjustments. And the adjustment may not be in the beginning of the season, maybe in the middle of the season, maybe at the end of the season, but each team is going to expose something different to you, and you have to adjust. Kids they going to mature from freshman to their senior year, so you got to adapt to what they're and they're going to get better skill wise, and you have to adapt to what they have to offer.
Well, the last two seasons you've had a tremendous run. I mean, this last year you went 22-7, and the year before that you went 20-7. You got a nice new nucleus of players at Vance. So, you're sort of building that program and really building your own culture there at Vance High School. For the people who haven't had a chance to see you coach, how would you define Vance team as a whole?
Hopefully, if a fan comes out and watches us play, the first thing they should see that we play hard. We should definitely play hard and aggressive. We're going to scrap, and we're going to do whatever we can to win. Again, I've played small ball. I've had a smaller team. I mean, having Daniel Sanford and Daniel Ransom this year has changed tremendously in regards of height. But in the past, I've been kind of small. So the number one thing they should see is let's play hard. We're going to scrap, and we're going to get all over the floor. And we should be fun to watch. We should be fun to watch. We play up tempo, and guys, you should see guys shooting and dunking and running. But on the defensive end, on the offensive end, they're playing hard enough to try to win and do what it takes to win.
Well, last year y'all went 22-7. You have three really good players returning. You got 6'8" rising junior Daniel Sanford. He averaged 14.5 points a game, almost 8 rebounds a game. Has a tremendous wingspan. The sky's the limit for him. But you had 2 freshmen last year that was really the talk of the city. And you had 5'10" rising junior sophomore this year, Trey Green, who can really fill it up from deep. He's one of the better shooters in the state, regardless of class. I mean, he has a great touch, mechanics, follow through. Every shot looks like it's going in when he shoots the ball. Absolutely. And then you have Jalen Curry. So you have those 3 guys, and you look at the scoring from those 3. I mentioned earlier, Sanford averaged almost 15. Trey Green almost averaged 15. And then you have Jalen Curry right at 12 points a game. So you have those 3 guys as your nucleus. So I'm sure that the toughest thing for you as a coach is to basically, monitor and subdue those expectations that everybody else have on those 3 talented players.
And that's the thing that we battling a little bit. Everybody has expectations for those kids. And right now, I just want those young men to grow with the game. I think, kids now get so caught up into, all of this and different things. Just grow. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right.
Expectations that people put on you may not be realistic right now. It may be eventually. Daniel Sanford is, again, 6'7". He's probably 240 right now. He is a tremendous athlete, but he's only been playing since the 7th grade. And so he made some threes for us this year, and he's got some guard skill. So you're going to be able to see some areas but then you also gonna see that he hadn't put it all together. You know,
Right.
it's still time to grow, and that's for all of them. You know, you got Trey Green that can. I think he can outshoot anybody. I mean, he can really fill it up. He shot 45% from everywhere on the floor, and he shot like 45% behind the three. Shot 90% from the free throw line. He had 2 back-to-back 30-point games. He can really fill it up. The biggest growth for him is going to be learning how to facilitate, you know, making sure that your guys around you are as happy as you are, you know, and that's growth. Jalen Curry is totally different. I mean, he's just a all-around playmaker. You know, he led us in assists this year. He had averaged 5 assists a game. He led us in steals. He had 76 steals this year. He averaged 11 points a game, and he's just a playmaker. You know, I don't think he has a special skill set in general. I think he's just a playmaker. Like, he can pass the ball, he can see it 2 plays ahead, he can score on all 3 levels. He's just a really good all-around player, and he's got and he's real nasty on the court. You know, I think all 3 of those guys have plenty time to continue to grow in the game, and just leave the expectations and just let it, you know, naturally be organic in regards to where they go.
The thing about Curry that impresses me is his court vision and also his ability to pass off the dribble. I mean, he can pass off the dribble either hand, which is really a gift. And I mean, he makes the right pass at the right time. I mean, and it's right there. And I agree with you. I think him and Trey Green complement each other so well because Curry is a facilitator. He likes to dribble, penetrate, and kick. And, you know, of course, he can finish at the rim, but so many teams are going to help off and they're going to collapse in the lane. And, of course, it leaves Trey Green for a lot of open shots too. And, then, of course, you know, we talked about Daniel Sanford, which I think we measured him at Open Gym. He has like, what, a 7'2" wingspan?
7'2" wingspan, yeah.
I mean, his upside is just crazy. And, you know, the thing that I was impressed that day was his ability to step out and hit the mid-range, but also step out and hit the perimeter 3. So when he puts it all together, he's going to be scary, scary good.
I agree with you, Coach. I mean, and Jalen, like I said, if, you know, kids have to be okay with what they have to bring to the table. You know, the fact that he can pass the ball at a high rate like that, you know, the people around him have to make him feel okay with that. You know what I mean? A lot of times everything is built around scoring, but that skill set is something you can't teach. You know, that's something that's a natural instinct, you know, and Trey's ability to score like that is just a natural thing that he has. I mean, that's a God-given talent that he has. And, you know, Daniel Sanford overall is just, I mean, he's just a tremendous athlete. You know, I mean, just so super athletic. He could probably dunk the ball 16 times in a row, you know, and his ability to all that strength and muscle that he has and the wingspan. I mean, again, it could be an amazing thing if they just allow it to grow and the expectations that people have for them. It's going to be eventually realistic, but it may not be right now type deal. So just, you know, keep moving forward and keep working. But they're 3 tremendous talents, and we got some young guys on our JV team and that played varsity this past year that's going to be good as well.
Well, the day I was there for Open Gym, I know Western Carolina was there, and they offered on that same very day that I was there for Open Gym. And, of course, they have Daniel Ranford coming this coming year too. Last year, you know, you had 7 losses, and you're going to probably shoot me for this. But out of those 7 losses, okay, 3 of them came to North Met. Now, you know, we've all been watching The Last Dance with the Chicago Bulls, and when they got there, they had to beat Detroit, okay? You guys got to beat North Met. That's your hump team. If you get by North Met, you got a good chance to win the state championship next year.
I mean, in my eyes, and everybody looks at it a little different, you know. I feel like we got to get by anybody, you know what I mean?
Right.
But the expectation is to beat anybody we match up with. And
Right.
anytime that I take a loss, whether if it's, the North or Olympic like I did, it's unacceptable. I mean, we want to win every game. I don't see North as the hump team for me because we don't play them a 7-game series. But I see them as a team that needs to be beat as well as anybody else.
Yeah. And I remember this last year, I came to the North Mech Vance game at Vance, and I got there probably an hour and a half early, and I didn't get in until probably halftime.
It was a big game.
That's a hot
It was a
ticket.
big game.
It is a big game. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Coach. Since you've been the head coach, what's the biggest lessons you've learned so far?
Again, I would say the biggest lesson I've learned is don't take last year into this year. You know what I mean? The expectations and the things that we did last year, it's a whole new team. And, either the expectation rises and we can't be okay with what we did 22-7. We got to move forward and we got to work harder. And I got to coach this team different than I did last year because, again, we had 2 freshmen and a sophomore starting. So they can expect me to be a little bit more aggressive and not tolerate some small things that they did this year because there should be growth in regards to the whole team. So when I put you out there, you should know exactly what to do because you've had time to grow. I had 3 seniors this year, which was Daniel Ransom and Jason and Dexter. And so everybody else was freshmen and sophomores and juniors. And so they had to learn as well. But at this point of going into next year, there should be some comfortability and there should be some expectations that you should know about and know what to do. And so that is the biggest learning thing that I've learned, that each year don't bring in what happened the year before.
Coach, what do you think your one defining moment has been so far?
Well, I'm from a school that we won a whole lot of state championships in high school. So the defining moment would be a state championship. I haven't had a defining moment yet. I'm still kind of early in my coaching career, I feel like. I've had some great moments and coached against some good coaches and had some success. But I haven't had a defining moment. Defining moment for me would be, hey, we finally got here and won a state championship.
Well, you won 2 as a player, though.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You guys play in the IMEC, and that's probably one of the toughest conferences in the state. And, I think 4A basketball in the Charlotte metro area, it doesn't get any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've been coaching at Vance, who's the toughest player that you've ever had to coach against?
Probably Patrick Williams. His versatility. He was just so big, and he created a matchup either way. So he's probably the most challenging guy that we had to face overall. Just because going inside and having to figure out whether pick him up full court or back off of him. But he's probably the most challenging, and it explains why he's going to the draft.
Now, are you surprised, like when you saw him in high school and he committed to Florida State, are you surprised that he entered the draft after 1 year and now he's in the consideration of being a first-round draft pick?
No. When I watched him play and played against him, I said, if he wants it in his mind, he's going to be a pro. And I said that a long time ago. Like, I feel like if, there were times that I watched him play and I felt like, hey, he could dominate this game, and sometimes he didn't. But and then sometimes you see him dominate and you say, hey, he's the real deal. And that's the same thing I see in Daniel. You see that major sometimes and sometimes you don't. But once he puts it all together, which he has, he's going to be a pro. So, I think, Pat I'm not surprised that he entered the draft. I think he had a really good season. I think he's a major talent, and I think he's going to do well.
I remember speaking to Coach Jacoby Davis, and every time I watched him, and I agreed his talent level was unbelievable. And he was a high academic young man too. And off the court, he was really super nice. And I always mentioned, I said, sometimes he was so nice, he took it onto the court. And I said, if that light switch ever goes off, it's over. And,
Right.
you could see that watching him play at Florida State, that light switch went off as well. So let me ask you this. There's some tough places to play. Where's the toughest place to play in your area? On the road.
On the road. It could be in between. It depends on any night. It could be North Mac. It could be West Charlotte. It could be Mallard Creek. Mallard Creek is right down the road for us, so it'll pack out. The first time we played them, it was a sold out crowd. And it was jam packed in there. West Charlotte and North Mac have smaller gyms, and so it's very compact in there as well. So those are tough places to play. You could go to Huff. It seems like every time we go to Huff, it's either raining or it's a dreary day. So that could be a tough game. But I think any game in the IMEC is just a tough conference, and we've kind of built the reputation that we're gonna play hard and be aggressive, and so that every time we get out there, it seems like everybody gets up for us and give us their best.
Well, when you go to West Mac or West Charlotte, and then you go over to North Mac, those gyms, like you said, are small. And I've been over there quite a few times. It doesn't matter how cold it is outside. You walk in the gym, it's going to be like sardines, and it's going to be hot in there.
The last time we played at West Charlotte, and both times, actually, the floor got soggy and wet, you know what I mean? And it just kind of – it's a tough place to come watch a game, and it's a tough place to play either way.
The fans are right on top of you.
Right on top of you.
Coach, winding this thing down, you've done a great job at Vance. You've had 3 20-win seasons, and the expectations are really high for next year's season, and rightfully so. And I do think you have the right temperament. You're going to, calm those expectations down, but at the same time, get the most out of every one of your players that, whether it's a Daniel Sanford or Trey Green or Jalen Curry. I think, things are headed in the right direction for Vance basketball. Let me ask you this. You played at the high school, you went to college. When did you decide that defining moment you said, hey, this is what I want to do? I want to be a high school basketball coach?
I think I felt like I could be a coach. Coach Robinson would sometimes leave us in the gym with the guys, or he would be finishing up a meeting or something before he got over to the gym. And as an assistant coach, I could run practice as if he was there. And sometimes, when you leave assistants and if they're not strong enough, they can get ran over by the kids. You know what I mean? And Coach Robinson saw that in me early. It was like, man, you got practice running, by yourself, and I was just getting started. But I had that relationship with the guys. I could get them to work for me. I could motivate them. I could encourage them. And I could criticize them hard and they would take it, And I think that's when I kind of realized that I got a shot at this coaching thing, and I just kind of took over.
Do you ever talk to Coach Rob about your team?
All the time. I mean, from time to time, he kind of let me have my own space with this team. And he said that if I ever took over, you're not me and I'm not you, so you do your own thing. And so, we kind of talk, and he'll come watch us play and give me some advice of what he might have saw. And we still talk. He's still a mentor to me, and so he's still around in some aspect.
Well, you mentioned earlier the thing that you learned from him is, the discipline and the execution. And I've known Coach Rob for a number of years, and, he was always someone that I looked up to because I just liked the way he carried himself on the court and off the court. But the one thing I will say that I think you've also dovetailed with Coach Rob is I love your poise and I love your maturity. On the court and off the court, I see a little bit of some of the things that Coach Rob had as characteristics of coach have rubbed off in a very positive way on you, Coach, and that's as a compliment.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, he is a mentor to me, and he carried this program and ran it in a very professional manner. And I try to do that as well. I think, I always want people to, look at my program and say, he's taking care of the program. He's taking care of the kids. He's doing the right by the kids. And that's always a question mark in my mind. So I'm always striving to make sure that our program look and is ran in the right way. So, and he kind of showed me that way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we want to say thank you for coming on Phenon's Coach's Corner and sharing a little bit about your background and how you got to Vance and along the way and sharing your story.
Well, Coach, I want to say thank you. I mean, I think this platform that you've given coaches and the platform that you've given the players is out of this world. I mean, again, I wish I was playing this time. I kind of get a little jealous of the guys having the opportunity to play in these events and go to these type of camps and get exposed by coaches and college coaches. It's just a different day and time, and I hope the coaches and the players continue to show you love and appreciate what you've done so far.
Well, thank you. We thoroughly enjoy it, and we try to give a platform to coaches and also young players. And the kind words mean a lot to me, and I want to say thank you.
No doubt, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Uh-huh.